and what they do if they were organising a show, what they'd like to see there. Because as many of you will know, it was Festival of the Unexceptional yesterday, which was my first time attending. So I shall keep my opinions to myself. In fact, we've just got a comment. It's a very strange comment, and I don't understand what it means at all. So hopefully it doesn't mean something's gone wrong. Okay, so there you go. Yeah, so it was the first time I attended Festival of Unexceptional, so I shall keep my opinions to myself, possibly for most of this. But I might, or I might. It depends what other people want to talk about on there. I can see Ross is here. Greetings, Ross. I hope you're all right. And they think it's all Rover, which I have no idea who that is, but welcome and thank you for joining. And they see FotU. They say FotU is a dead show for me now. Been 4 times. Oh, and Alex's access is here, and the rest of Alex is here as well. I assume it's not just your assets. And Alex says, "Oh no, not you again. It is me again, actually. Yeah. This time it's too daylight to have any lights and stuff on. Although this one could do with being on, maybe to provide a little bit of floodlighting. I don't think it's doing much, actually. Oh, it's because I put it at the wrong side off. Shut it. Stop messing about with lights. Yeah, so it was for yesterday, but I thought I'd just do a bit of a stream just to see what people's thoughts on different co shows or different car shows are now, and what their experiences are. If you've ever been to FotU, let me know what you thought of it in the comments. What other shows are there? What are your favourite shows to attend? What are your expectations when you go to a show? I mean, I assume most people will, if a show's a £5 to attend, they're not going to expect fireworks and dancing girls jumping out of cakes and stuff. Unless it's a fireworks and girls jumping out of cake show, and then you would be disappointed if they weren't that. But if it's a car show and you paid a £5, you wouldn't expect all that frivolity. But if you're paying 20, what expectations do you have there? 30, what expectations do you have there? If it's a full weekend of event, what would you expect from that? Have you ever camped over for a show? And what was your experience camping? Is it something that you'd recommend so you can be there bright and early and fresh, or did you do it once and think, I'd be happier sleeping in my own bed and just driving for a few hours in the morning before I arrive? I've just noticed I've left some chocolate here. Chocolate. So let's have a look through these comments, because they seem to be ticking through. Let's have a look. Where did we get up to? They think it's all Rover. Price hikes, distance, and the moaning and nastiness on the Facebook groups has really put a downer on it. Oh, this is on Festival of the Unexceptional. The one question. Oh, Simon Andrew. Greetings, Simon Andrew. The one thing I'd say about it is, again, maybe that's a price related thing, because the more you charge for something, maybe the more people expect from it. I suppose one thing I should point out, and I don't think that any of you are under any sort of wonderment that I wasn't paid to go to FotU. I paid for my ticket myself. Yeah, so I drove down from my house down to pick Matt up, and then like that for an hour and a bit, and then for an hour and a bit to get to FotU. So yeah, there wouldn't be any sort of paid promotion thing. Hang on, where am I going? Here on Facebook, on YouTube, there won't be any paid promotion thing here. This is really hard trying to. Which way am I doing it? Oh, this way. That's it. There won't be any paid promotion thing here on YouTube, because no, I don't get paid promotions. Yeah, so rest assured, any views I give on FotU or any other car shows we talk about are completely unbiased by monies, and also only my own. They're not the views of anybody else. Just so you're clear, I don't want people thinking that he's gone on YouTube to bash Festival of the Unexceptional for any reason. I don't know why anybody would take it upon themselves to bash anything just for the sake of it. Be a bit silly. Sorry, I got distracted then. Price hikes, distance, and the moaning. Yeah, so there has been some. There's been a couple of posts that I've seen on Facebook. Oh, Jack's gone now. Where some people have asked for opinions on Festival of the Unexceptional, and it's created some discussion. I can see on some posts on there. But there also seems to be some answers to some people's sort of opinions that are kind of not belittling the answer, but missing the point. Is if somebody says, for example, that the cost is high, the cost of this show, of show X, is high, and some people seem to say, well, that's how much it costs to hire that venue. So, well, then maybe they need to find a cheaper venue if they can't do it without charging X amount, and there's a large amount of people that don't want to pay X amount. Maybe that's a thing to look into. So yeah, I think price seems to be a big thing. Tony for president, says Ross. Where is Tony? Oh, he's here. Tony's here. He didn't go yesterday. Yesterday, I did miss a few things. I didn't manage to get any chips, so I couldn't do a chip review. I forgot to take Tony with me. Although, to be perfectly fair to myself, I did get up at 4 and I did leave at 5:30. So there you go. Rustival has only done one event and is already miles ahead in organisation, venue, and cost. I like Rustival, and one thing that I didn't that kind of put me off a little bit. I'm trying to think how to word this. I don't want to come across as sounding snobbery about cars and stuff. But the kind of bring anything you want. I like the idea of that. It's good because people shouldn't then feel that they can't attend. So it was less of a car show and more of a channel meetup, if that makes sense. The point wasn't that the cars that were going to be there. The point seemed to be the YouTubers that had put the event on to a certain degree. But anything could park anywhere apart from if you booked early enough, you got in Mayfair, which was the lower bit. But there was it seemed to be too much of a mix of classic stroke retro stroke modern classic stuff and new cars just parked in there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Thinking back, it just sounds like I'm moaning about it, but I don't know. There's another one in September, isn't they? On the 28th of September. So I've already booked in for that, and I'm in Mayfair. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how I feel about it second time round. Yeah, I agree. It was a very good show for the price. It's amazing. It's at Gaydon, so you get to walk around the museum. and the storage area and the Jaguar collection. So you've got all that extra stuff, which is as a bonus when it's roasting not outside, which is inside in shade at least, and quite often air-conned. Although the storage area was still quite warm. So yeah, there's all those advantages of it being at a museum, and also you're parking on tarmac, which is not bad. It's not going to get chewed up by many cars and stuff. So yeah, Rustival is a good one. I liked that. I've never been to Festival of the Unexceptional, says Alex's Assets. It's a bit far, and someone told me it was 40 quid this year. Why so expensive, and what do you get for the money? Yeah, I'm trying to think if it. Yeah, it probably is a bit far from where you are. Yeah, I'll try not to say too much, but yeah, it's the first time I've been. I think it was 35 quid plus booking fee or something. Which I always find stupid that you add a booking fee onto the ticket price. Surely you just ask for a higher ticket price. It's like when they charge you a booking fee when you get tickets emailed to you. It's like they should be posting tickets out to you as well. You should have the email copy and a posted copy, not print this off at anyway, that's a different matter. Yeah, so I'd never been before. I honestly, because of the cost, I expected more to be there. I would have expected before I went, because I looked into it before. I would have expected the house that it was, or castle that it's outside, to have been open. A bit like the Gaydon thing, where you can go around the museum. I expected the same for the house. I mean, I might not have gone around it, but it'd have been something else. Something else there. If I let's rather than go on what wasn't available, let me start what was there. So you've got the concourse thing, which is quite cool. So you got immaculate cars in a little circle in front of the big house door bits, which was nice little shoot. I didn't film any of that. I filmed some time lapse stuff in there, but I didn't actually film any of that stuff because that's not for me, the concourse stuff. There was then, so you got the house here, and then you'd got a stage here where Johnny Smith and some other people were talking, and I think they had a band on every so often and stuff. And then you'd got like a chunk with cars in it, and then halfway down you'd go. Well, actually, it was the full length of the field bit were like that. You'd got like this much cars, and then a chunk where there were like some food stalls, and then this much cars again. In fact, it's probably further. Probably about half of the field space was covered in cars. So yeah, there's quite a few food vendors on there. And that was about it. This is why I expected more. I expected there to be more stuff going on. For the ticket price, I expected it to have more entertainment. Maybe more than one stage. Maybe one at the bottom, one at the top. Maybe in the middle, more food, because it had quite a few food things, but there weren't that many. There weren't that much space to sort of sit out. I think there were some deck chairs that they'd provided and stuff, but people just sent to camp out on them rather than just sitting there and eating the food and then going. They just sent to sit there, and that were it. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was well laid out. I just think it was a bit expensive for what pretty much was park your car, buy some food. That's it, really. Yeah, I just expected more value on there. What they could have done extra to add value, I'm not sure. I've never organised a car show myself, so I don't really know what sort of things they could do. I mean, the location's pretty remote. It is a nice looking place. It's just you don't get to look round it. Yeah, there weren't even motorbikes there, which I was surprised at. I thought there'd be like a motorbike section as well, but it's just cars. One thing that I feel might have added a little bit more value to it, and I don't think it had been bank breakingly difficult, would be to have some sort of like pack for turning up. Like, I don't know, it could just be a plastic bag. They used to give this sort of stuff away all the time at like car shows, like NEC car show and stuff. A plastic bag, and in there you've got a Festival of the Unexceptional 2024 10th anniversary sticker, and a little program telling you about the past 10 years of the Festival of the Unexceptional, and you could get people, you could get some companies to advertise in there, because that's generally how these things work. But yeah, they weren't, to me personally, and lots of other people might feel differently, and I hope some pro FotU people appear so we can get their sort of opinions as well. Yeah, I expected more. So I think if we go again next year, Matt came up with a good idea, and that is that we all meet somewhere and then we all pile in one person's car. Yeah, and just go in like 8 of us in one car and just split the ticket price on there. So yeah, there we go. Rustyville is less than 15 quid, and you get a hard standing and a great place to shelter when the weather goes south. Exactly what I said before I even got to your comment there, Simon. So far, I've watched 3 of Joseph's videos, Matt Furious, and a 6-minute live from Mark. If you haven't been there and you rely on YouTubers, so being there is a luxury, don't lock it. If you haven't been there, then you rely on YouTubers, so being there is a luxury, don't knock it. Well, it kind of isn't a luxury in a way, Ross, because it's a luxury you're having to pay for. I mean, I get what you're saying, as in like you don't have the opportunity to go to it, but yeah, it's not something put on as an international event. I get what you're saying there. But yeah, I feel that there should be more to it, for that kind of thing. You're pointing to my clock. Well, what does your clock say there, Alex? Does it say paid promotion? The question always comes into play about what's acceptable. The title says Festival of the Unexceptional. I would argue that other than modern supercars and sports cars, most cars are unexceptional. Yeah, that is true. I mean, to be honest, I'm very, very, very pro the unexceptional thing. It's kind of, to me, it's a very loose theory that just brings something along. That's to me is what it's saying is, don't matter what it is, just bring it along. It doesn't. The idea isn't it's a show off event. It's just a show event for older everyday cars, which I think you've hit the nail on the head with there. And I heard some people saying that, oh, I brought my Porsche, and I've heard people go, oh, what idiots brought a Porsche to Unexceptional. I don't think it matters. I really don't think it matters what you bring. I think it's, the way I see it is, there's the whole car community, but there might be a small amount of people that think, well, my car's not anything special. It's just a mid-90s Corsa. Why should I take that to a show? It's paint's all fading and there's bits falling off it. Nobody wants to see that. Well, this is the idea of the show, is that I think, I don't know if this is the intended idea or whether it's just my take, is that it's something where you don't, a bit like Rustville, you don't have to worry about what car you bring in. Everything is accepted. And yeah, if somebody wants to bring a sports car, an expensive sports car, why not? Like if JM were there in a Vauxhall Astra van, if he'd have brought one of his, has he got a Maserati still, or is it? To be honest, I can't remember what he's got. If he'd have brought one of his super expensive cars, why not? I don't mind looking at super expensive cars. Just because the festival's unexceptional Well, obviously, if it were half a field full of Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and then half a field full of blooming Citroens and Protons, then I'd be like, well, there's not much variety, is there? But yeah, I don't see the problem with whatever people bring. And the very titles are a paradox anyway, isn't it? You wouldn't have an unexceptional festival and then award exceptional cars, which is what they do. Um, yeah, I did. I don't know whether I've heard making this up, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure there was talk. I think it was on the stage show. I can't remember what it was that they'd started the conversation about. But somebody was saying about maybe it's going to become a trend, people buying old cars, but then de-specking them so they're the base models because then they feel that they're going to be the ones people will look out for more than the high spec one. I can't see that. I I'd I can't see that people are going to go out of the way to buy a base spec model if they can get one that's got nice luxuries at the same price. Would Let's take the Rover 75 for an example. If you had a choice between a Connie, a Connie SE, or a basic club model, all for the same price, same condition, it's just that actually Rover 75 is a terrible comparison because even the club one's got nice stuff in it. um, so basically, if you had the choice between two cars, same price, same mileage, same condition, we'll say same engine for argument's sake, but one room's got really plush, nice seats in it. It's got electric windows. It's got climate control. It's got a really nice stereo system in it. It's got oh, we'll say a sat nav system. We'll just assume that it's got a high end audio and screen and everything in it. Um, yeah, it's got nice alloy wheels on it. It's got xenon headlights, all the nice stuff that are like comforts. They're not necessities, they're just comfort stuff. If you got a choice between that one or one that had wind up windows, it didn't have aircon, it only had radio cassette, it didn't have CD or MP3 or whatever you kids are into. It didn't have electric mirrors, it had manual mirrors, that sort of thing. Would you go for the base spec one or would you go for the other one? I think most people would go for the one with the nice luxuries and not the base spec one. I think it's some sort of weird punishment to yourself obsessing over base spec things, but some people like that. I've done that one. Simon says to Alex, it's you paying 40 quid to park in the grounds of a stately home and look at other cars. That's it. For that price, says Udjudge, I'd expect to be given a glass of fresh orange juice, a piece of cake, a handheld fan, and a parasol, and a crumpet. Well, I mean, yeah, the weather was lovely yesterday. It was very sunny and very warm. It did cloud over occasionally, which was an absolute joyous break. But most of it was very, very sunny. Now there was some trees at either side, and also I did witness a man just go between two trees. You could still see him and have a pee against the wall and then come back. There was literally toilets like 5 minutes walk away from where he were. So sometimes you can take people out of the farm, but you can't take the farm out of the people. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so there wasn't really any shelter because, as I say, you couldn't go in the house. There was the Haggerty Club Drivers Club that was in a marquee, but you had to be part of there to get in. The food things were all outside, so they were like vans and trailers and that kind of thing. So there were no shelter there. I'm trying to think, apart from going under the trees where the grass was like super long because they only cut the normal bit of grass. Yeah, they weren't anywhere really. They weren't really anywhere to shelter from the sun, which is another thing, another odd thing.
Yeah, and something I was saying to Julie, and I said to Matt and Adam yesterday as well, is maybe we do need to get us a sort of gazebo so we can set that up and have it printed up with the channel names on it. Which isn't a bad idea anyway. I mean, obviously, I don't know how it'd work at Gaydon. I don't think you can hammer things into tarmac very well. We'd have to come up with some other method, but that'd be a good thing. But they parked the cars. Oh, look, I've even got some cars to demonstrate here. So generally, you'd put like one row here and then another row here, wouldn't you? So then anybody parks like here's got enough room to come out, like in a normal car park. But there were some rows that cars were parked so close like that, in loads of lines, like at least 4 deep, that nobody could get out, or there were one person that was trying to creep between people. So yeah, there were some people that were kind of stuck there until others had decided to move. I managed to get parked right on edge. I don't know whether you've seen in Joseph's video. I don't know whether I've been on that one yet. I managed to get parked right at the side of the road, so it was dead easy for me. What were I saying? Oh yeah, so because the cars were parked so close together, there wouldn't have been room for us to put a gazebo up anyway. So that was another thing. Shelter to get out of the sun or rain. At least if it's rain and it's dull, your car's not going to be too hot. But it was boiling yesterday. Yes, Juju. I would want multiple crumpeters through the day. Yes, maybe we should do that. Maybe I need to get some sort of inverter so I can run a toaster off at car battery, or just a little generator, and I can sit there making crumpets. Simon says, also with Rustival, there's so much more inclusivity, and Friendship Corner was lovely. Yeah, that is a good idea. Everything was laid out bare to start off, and with the exceptions were known prior what cars to expect. Yeah, and with the exception, yes. And with expectations, yes, I agree with that. Yeah, the Friendship Corner thing was a good idea. I must say, FotU yesterday, that did seem very inclusive. There was a wide variety of people there. It definitely wasn't one of those shows where you go to and expect. I mean, I think maybe that in this day and age, maybe that's a bit of a backwards thing when you say that it's the same sort of people. I don't think you really get that. I'm trying to think if I've been to a car show this year where whether it's been just one type of person. I mean, without speaking to everybody, you don't know what people are like anyway. But there seemed to be quite a large diversity of people there yesterday. And Rustival is kind of the same. Yeah, I mean, it's good to be inclusive and diverse, isn't it? That's the modern way. There's no good in being uninclusive and undiverse with your thinking, is there? Because everyone's a friend, you just don't know them yet. A show is not a show without the cars. I personally feel this price way too high, and that is a good thing, actually, Alex. Because this reminds me, going back to good old days when I used to go to car shows with my dad. I'm pretty sure most car shows we used to go to were free to get into, and if they weren't free to get into, it was a nominal amount, like £2 or £3. And every time, well, yeah, it used to be a thing. I'm going to confidently say this used to definitely be a thing. And when you went to a car show, you got a little plaque to say that you'd been, because my dad had a bit of teak wood that he'd made. He'd even chamfered edges round, so it was a nice piece of wood, and varnished it and everything. And he used to stick these plaques on there in front of his Ford Pop that he had, and he must have had 20 odd plaques on there at some point. I wonder if he's still got them under his house. I should actually look for them and do a video on them. That'd be quite cool.
Yeah, but yeah, that's definitely a thing. If nobody turned up with the cars, there wouldn't be a show. So I don't mind I don't mind paying a nominal fee, like Lock Park. I don't mind paying a fiver because I know that fiver goes towards the guys that put the club of the guys that put the show on. So I don't mind that at all because they always do a cracking job. Um, but yeah, for stuff like that, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure on that. Ross says, "Did Rob take the 25 commercial?" Unfortunately, Ross, Rob couldn't attend. He has not been feeling altogether himself in the past couple of days, so he decided best be safe and stay at home yesterday, which meant Adam went instead. Adam took Rob's ticket from him, and Adam came along, so that was nice. So we had Adam and his Rover 25 Mark 1 that's got a Mark 2 face and BRM seats. We had Gen Z Rover 200 with BRM bits on it, which Alex would say is a fake BRM because she's naughty, very naughty. And we had Dave from the Crap Car Hunter brought his 205. What is it? I can't remember what it's called now. Is it CTI? I can never remember what model it is. I always want to say CJI. I think it might be CTI, which is nice, which I'm going to do a video on soon. So me, Matt, and Dave are going to meet up at Great British Car Journey, and we're going to swap cars while Matt stands there. Sounds like the NEC car shows are better value. NEC ones, they are quite a chunk, aren't they? For how much? I have to remind myself how much the NEC car show was actually. Let me have a quick Google. NEC. Because that's coming up at end of year, isn't it? Let's have a look. Don't you hate this thing? Ever since GDPR came into effect, that every time you go to a website you've never been before, it has to pop up a little window and ask you if you consent to it using your cookies. Tickets information. Adults from £34.50. Yes, I would. Let me think. So the advantage of FotU over the NEC is the location's really nice. It is a really nice place. Like whatever the Grimsthorpe, as my sat nav called it, Grimthorpe Castle is a really nice place to look and walk around and stuff. And I'm sure that the inside of the house is nice. In fact, there's one near us, just outside Doncaster. I can't remember the name of now, but it's very similar to that. Same sort of layout, and you've got gardens, and the one near us has got a lake. It's probably not got as much land around it, but the actual house is just as nice. But yeah, the thing with the NEC is you're not gonna get sunburn. You've got loads of cars and stands to look at. There's loads of food places already in there. I'd say the only disadvantage with the NEC is you've got the ticket price and you've got the parking price as well. That's the only disadvantage. It feels like you get more for your money, personally, at this point in the NEC than Festival of the Unexceptional, but it's not. It's not far off. NEC's kind of got companies and stands, and they bring exceptional things. Ironically enough, like I always like looking at the rally cars and stuff. So, yeah, it's a close one. That, Ross. It's a very good question. In fact, I'm going to upload that question. Thank you, Ross. That is something that's made my brain tick. Simon says 20 quid is fair.
with 1,300 cars turning up, that's still a shed load of money. Yeah, it's not their fault. I live in Wales, but it's nearly 5 hours from here. With accommodation, it turns into a £300 event. That is true. That is true. Yeah, it's like, yeah, when you add ticket price and then you add on fuel costs and obviously the people putting on the event, I've got a tickly nose, can't control where people live, but they've also got to think about it, how it works. I mean, maybe they'd be better putting on 2 events in a year, smaller events at smaller venues, to try and cover the whole of the country. I mean, yeah, it's an easy thing to say that, well, the event holders can't control where people live, so they can't really take into account other costs that people incur. But if they're trying to make it a profitable venture, then that's the kind of thing that they need to think about, isn't it? You don't only get buses going to one place, do you? Yeah, I was going to say I prefer NEC by the sounds of it. NEC is definitely more comfortable. It's just not as aesthetically pleasing. But that could all change if they had, what was the thing I suggested earlier? I don't know. Dancing girls jumping out of cakes. Barry's here and he says, "Hi guys, how are we all? We are all very fine and dandy." Simon says, "We also have a local show here in Wales in Chepstow, which is £2. That's quite good. That is quite good. That is like a token fee, isn't it? £2. That's quite good, that. I'd put on a gazebo for us," says Simon. Yeah, it's like the gazebo idea is a really good idea. I think we need to do that because quite often we end up at shows parked up nearish each other anyway. In fact, my friend Kevin and his little group, they take a gazebo with them, and basically they park up at a show. They did it at Wortley, but I didn't film them. They were in background actually putting gazebo up on its shots. They park up, they put gazebo up, and they get frying bacon straight away. A stranger is just a friend you don't know yet. Billy Connolly's classic Rambler sketch. I've not seen that, but I've got this sort of thing in my mind. Where's it from? I hadn't heard it from Billy Connolly. I heard it from somewhere else. I can't remember where I heard it from. I've got to go in a minute, says Alex, to get Remy to help me try washing my Rover ready for Tuesday. Yes, I'm looking forward to Tuesday. Tuesday is going to be quite a nice little day out. So we're meeting at an RAF museum in Birmingham at 11 o'clock. And then between that time and a later time, we're going to be walking around the museum. But if we spend all our time there, then fair enough. If we don't spend all this time there, there'll be something else happening between us being there and arriving at the OK Diner in Derby, where we shall have some food. So 11 o'clock at RAF Museum in Birmingham. The actual name escapes me. I'm sure it's just RAF Museum, Birmingham. And then 5 o'clock, OK Diner in Derby. They're the 2 definite times on there. What happens in between them is variable. Like we might be at the museum for a couple of hours and think, well, we've done all that now, and then drive somewhere else for a bit, and then drive to OK Diner or somewhere. We'll figure it out on the day. But 11 a.m. RAF Museum, Derby, Birmingham. Oh God, Simon, that's where we're starting. My back is still a bit rubbish, but I'm looking forward to the trip. Good. Cosford, that's it. Alex knows the details. RAF Museum in Cosford. Simon says his exhaust is being held on with profanity and prayers at the moment. That sounds like In fact, that sounds like Henrietta's exhaust was. And I shall go and fetch a piece of evidence to show you what I did to fix it. Bear with me. So this is my battered old bass guitar that I first bought when I started playing in a band years and years and years ago. And it's got an Ozzy Osbourne sticker on it. Someone else stuck this on because I lent it them and they broke it. This is a window sticker from a club that opened up in Sheffield called the Musicarium, I think it was called. Musicarium, yeah. I never went, and it closed down a few years later. But you'll notice it's missing a string. It's missing a string there. So what happened was, let me put you back down. Yeah, I used the string off it to tie Henny's exhaust back on because the bracket that goes under the back box rusted through. And I can't remember where I was going. Oh, I think it was when Rob came up and we did car reviews. We swapped cars and did car reviews. I had to tie it back on with a bass string because I didn't have time to manufacture my own strap. But then, yes, later on, I made a new strap out of an aluminium strip from B&Q for about £4 or something. And that was lovely. It worked well. Oh, and Alex's Assets has sent me a super sticker. £1.49 super sticker. Thank you very much, Alex. You are a doll and a gent at the same time, which I don't know quite how that would work. But, yeah, thank you very much. Very grateful. Stephen S. Paul says, hello, England, and English people contained there within. Thank you. Greetings to you as well, Stephen. The main thing is, though, Si, you enjoyed it, and I'm glad other people did. I just feel that if the venue is costing the organisers more, then find another venue. And that's a fair point. That is a fair point. The cost of the venue shouldn't be shouldn't be used as an argumentative factor if people think the cost of the ticket is too high. You've got the only time people will think that a product is too high is if they don't see the value within that product. If you can increase the value they can see in that product, then the price won't be as much of a problem. Simon says to Stephen S. Paul, what about English people living in Wales? There you go. Gaz says, I've always liked going to shows and coming back. It's the bit in between that can be a drag. Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, yes, sometimes. As a good example yesterday, actually, after I'd filmed maybe half of the stuff that I'd filmed, I were already so punch drunk from filming cars that I couldn't think of anything interesting to say or do or talk about with them, and there was just a lot there. Yeah, I mean, I went with all these intentions. All right, this time I'm going to try and do different techniques. I'm going to do some low down shots with cars driving in, a bit like Mark Parr does, because he always does really good intros and stuff. I'm going to chat to some people about their cars and stuff like that to give it that flavor. Again, another influence from Mark, because I think if you're gonna try and emulate someone or learn their techniques, Mark's a great place to start. His videos are really well done. He deserves more subscribers than he's got, to be honest. He should have more than JM. I swear down, if Mark Parr drove around in a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, a Honda S200, a Rally Spec Toyota Celica instead of a Megane, he'd have more subscribers than JM. What did I get up to? Oh yeah, we're going to try some different things yesterday. But the heat and the fact that there was so much there, just I was just punch drunk from filming. Punch drunk from filming. Over and out, says Alex, which means she left 5 minutes ago. So take care, Alex, and I shall see you Tuesday. That's a good point, says Ross. Festival of the Unexceptional should be held in an unexceptional venue. Maybe Knutsford Services. That is a good point. It's 2024. You can be a doll and a gent if you want. That is very true. ELS. Knutsford Services sounds awesome. Get onto it, Ross. When I was 10, me, Mom, and my older half brother broke down in a marina with a broken bonnet. Oh, my brother used a string from his guitar to tie the bonnet down, and we made it to Wales. There you go. So guitars and basses both are really useful at fixing cars, it seems. So, as I put on the TikTok, what sort of things would people like to see at car shows? And I always go back to the Wortley show, because that to me is the most like an old-fashioned car show. Possibly that I've been to recently. So it's got a car show, which is the main bit, but it's also got like the family bits as well. So there's like little tombolas and hook a duck, like the little fate games that they have. And then there's a bar, and there's a little cafe bit for food. There's a nice places where you can just sit out and chill for a bit. So that to me is like the all-rounder. That to me is like the niche classic. In fact, Chiltern was a really good show that had plenty of cars to look at. It had plenty of food stalls. In fact, I think Chiltern is the definitive sort of thing I'd like to see from a classic car show. Plenty of food vendors. There was some entertainment on, so there were a stage where a school band on and some people talking. There were some trade stands. There were unusual things that you wouldn't see every day. There were a few different clubs there, just general entries as well from other things. Tractors, working vehicles like fire engine type things. So there were quite a lot of stuff actually. So Chiltern I'd say is like your definitive classic, definitive car show thing. That's the kind of thing I like. But I think the main thing is somewhere to shelter when it's so bloody warm. If it's raining, I honestly don't mind walking around in rain, as long as I'm not getting drenched. I'm not fussed about that. It's when it's too bloody hot that does my head in. Kids at car shows are my next bugbear. Sun cream drenched hands on polished paint, and parents that don't give a crap, or a recipe for a respray. This is true. There's actually a show coming up. In fact, I need to check my emails. Actually, I forgot about that. A bit like the one Rob did in Coventry, but there's one in Sheffield called Classics on the Moor, and I'm hoping. In fact, I should add it to that. I'm hoping that there's space on that, because it's you drive your car down in the morning, park it up, and then leave it there all day. But yes, people need to be more respectful of other people's cars. That'll be a fun thing. But definitely that. In fact, Simon from Lot 76 was saying yesterday there was he caught a middle-aged man grabbing hold of the badge on his Mercedes and moving it about to see if it moved. It's like, why wouldn't even dream of touching someone else's car? Never mind seeing how far a badge on front moved. Ridiculous. What's in the yard this week? Ross says to Stephen. Every day is a car show for me at work. Too many of them now. Exactly. And then the other thing is sort of age limits, because the Festival of the Unexceptional weirdly had a strange. I suppose they just did it anything older than 20 years, but it was like it worked out that up to 2003 you could park classic. Anything other than that, you had to park modern. But that it didn't really make sense, because I was going to go in the ZS, but I thought, well, then that's a 2000 and that's a 54 plates. That's too old for their criteria. But there were 5 plate cars in the classic bit, so they're not that strict on it. So I should have just gone on in that. But yeah, you've got to be careful with stuff like that. That again comes back to the Rustival thing. Like maybe it'd feel more like a show if they say, well, if your car's under 10 years old, maybe, or 15 years old, park at this side. Like everybody that's over 15, you start filling car park up from that end, and then older cars have got more space. And maybe might be a way to go. Yeah, Simon says a 1999 25 is essentially the same as a 2006. Exactly. You'd have thought as well, with it being 1 in England and 2, there's going to be loads of Rovers turning up. You'd have thought they'd have gone about it a bit of a better way and gone, actually, yeah, anything 2006 onwards, park it modern thing, because then you're capturing all the Rovers that were made, and it doesn't matter which one you bring. Ross says, what was your favourite car? Oh, there's so many. Honestly, there were so many cars there yesterday. My favourite car that I think probably meets the criteria of being something that you wouldn't think twice about a few years ago, but nowadays you're like, oh yeah, you don't see them anymore. There was a 406 coupe. It was in a particular yellow colour that I don't like, but apparently it's a really rare colour, and that made it better. But I don't know. It was like Peugeot's version of what's that colour called? I couldn't remember it yesterday, and somebody else said it. The old MGB primrose yellow. It's like a really pale yellow that I've not got anything in here that's anything like. Primrose yellow. Shut up now. Primrose yellow 406 coupe. I think it might have been a V6 one, but I'm not entirely certain. That was a V6, says Ross. There you go. It was a V6. They did a diesel one, and if at any point in the future I have the space and the money, I'd buy the diesel one, because that's what I'm like. Simon said, I have to go finish the decorating the hallway. This was better than sitting there watching the paint dry, so I'm thankful for catching you on here. Hopefully, see you at the Rustival in a few weeks. Yes, indeed, Simon. Take care, and thank you for popping along. And I hope your decorating goes fine. Anytime I try and decorate stuff, I get bored halfway through, and then end up rushing it or changing what we're going to do. So yeah, there we go. Well, we've been going for nearly an hour now. So yeah, thank you those people that joined for your questions and your opinions and such. It's been nice. I might do a bit of a video about FotU. I mean, I'm going to do a FotU video, but I might do an impressions one, or I might not. This might be it. But yes, I've not got any cool video to play you out with or anything like that. It's just that this is the end of the live, pretty much. Let me see what I can. In fact, I'll put an advert on. We'll put the Pikelets advert on. That can be the ending video. So take care, everybody. Thank you for joining, and I shall catch you tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. Bye.
It's not crumpet.
It's not crumpet. It's not crumpet. It's not crumpet. It's not crumpet.
It's
It's not crumpet.
This has been a broadcast on behalf of the This Is Not a Crumpet organisation of Great Britain. Remember, if it's not a crumpet, it's a pikelet. And if it's not a pikelet, it's probably a crumpet.
It's not crumpet.